program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning. It's a cloudy African dawn here. Those are some wildebeest. My name is James Hendry and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live.
And we are back with what is fast becoming one of our favourite characters. Those, the wildebeest of the Djuma wildebeest herd. I've just christened them that, of course. But it is wonderful having them back here. Now, please do talk to us during the course of the morning. Hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarthTV. Those are the two ways you may get hold of us. Brian is on camera today. Hello, Brian.
Hello.
Did you sleep well?
Sort of.
He sort of slept well, that's good. Is there something on your thumb? Because there wasn't initially.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's good. Well done. A tie for Thursday morning.
Yes.
Out on the other vehicle, MCCURDY is driving around with David. They're going to the south, hopefully to find the royal family of leopards. We're going to go north at some stage to see if we can't find ourselves the lions of the Ninkapuma pride, but we'll probably turn around quite shortly and go down towards the pan, because Connor says there's some hyena down there somewhere. That's good. So we've got Connor in the air, hopefully fairly soon. And then, apparently they're coming towards quarantine. And then on foot shortly will be Byron, and he'll be filmed by Craig and helped by Herbert. Good. Let us move on. Just because there seem to be hyenas coming this way. Something else of vital importance I'm supposed to tell you, I think. Oh yes. The weather apparently is 19 degrees Celsius, 67 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a very nice temperature. It's very pleasant indeed. There's a bit of cloud around, not sure what it's going to do. My weather predictions for the last few days have been absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not going to attempt it again. There's a lot of mist down in the valley there. We should get a very nice view coming up soon. I can see Connor going flying up into the air. Well, not him, of course, his drone. He doesn't like it when I call his drone Marvin. It is a matrice, the drone, so I think Marvin the matrice is rather a good name for it, but he doesn't think it's quite manly enough. Marvin the matrice. You see Marvin there, Dave?
No, my name's not David.
Not. Sorry, Brian, can you see Marvin?
Yes, I can see it over there.
Whenever Byron's here, everyone, I can't remember Brian's name. Call him Andrew, David, von Skalkwijk. Ooh, here we go. What's that? That's more important than a hyena. There's our elephant friend. I think this is the elephant that he's been running around quarantine for the last few days. Let's see what he does. 2 nights ago, everyone, he chased the wildebeest herd around TAYLA to the extent that she thought he might actually chase them into her car. So he's very cross for some reason. He's just coming past us and trying to decide whether he wants to be cross with us as well. And I suspect his behaviour is probably born of the fact that he might be going into a mild must. He's probably about a 20-year-old elephant, and they do go into... Oh, there's the hyena, just behind. That's what he's looking at. Look at that. 3 hyenas. That's exciting. They're growling at each other. I'm going to leave this elephant simply because we don't see the hyenas too often, and I'd like to go and just see what they're doing while they follow across quarantine. It's very exciting indeed. So a mild must for that elephant basically means that I think he's going through that difficult pubescent time of life. And while he's not in a full-blown must where he's dripping that horrible, stinky green stuff, he is... They've found something to eat here. He is just in a slightly heightened hormonal state. Now, I don't know these hyenas. I don't know who they are exactly. There's some impala in the background. They looked like they'd found something to eat, but it might just be a little territorial marking that they're going to make. Anybody recognize these chaps? I don't know if you can hear them, but they're making very loud growling noises, which means that they can either smell another predator, or most likely at this stage, with those tails cocked up like that, a clan of hyenas they don't expect to find in this area. Now, I have never known this particular area as some sort of territorial boundary between the hyenas, so I'm not sure what's going on. You can see that they do look a little bit agitated. They also look to be in very fine condition, I must say. And you can see the impala watching them, but not alarm calling at all. They're not afraid. They know that they are much faster than the hyenas. That is a beautiful picture, isn't it? Well done, Brian.
Thank you.
Oh dear. Wendy seems to be struggling to start. Okay, let's go around the other side there. Not Wendy, we're on Rusty, aren't we, Brian? Come on, old girl. And I'm sure you're all as excited as Brian and I to spend a little bit of time with the hyenas. It used to be such a nice go-to where you'd go off towards the hyena den, sit with them for an hour. That was a really easy and lovely way to start a drive. Oh goodness, look at that picture there. It's like Independence Day. Very cool. Okay, we're going to carry on with the hyenas, I think. That is really cool. Connor's having a little bit of trouble getting us a picture. I wonder if these aren't the group that comes up from the south sometimes. Although, no, I don't think they are. I'm sure they're from our clan. And there are more and more forays down south here, and I don't think it's too long before they return. Do you see them anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, there they are. Slinking across the clearings. Shall we just go around the corner here, Brian? I think that's probably the best route. There we go. Marvellous. All the impala are moving off, but they're not alarm calling. They're staying at a safe distance. And Chris Rogue, you're watching, and you're one of our premier hyena identifiers, and you say you can't identify these guys. They're giving chase to the impala. Or they're thinking about it, certainly. Impala now scuttling off.
This one's blind in its right eye.
This one's blind.
Right eye, yeah.
Ah. Brian reckons that one there, the one on behind,
Yeah, this one.
is blind in its right eye. Yes, I did see a flash of sort of a white cataract there. Very cool. I'm just going to wait here, Brian, and see that they come out. That's the wrong call, isn't it, Brian? We should move around the corner. Now the impala have all gone scuttling off towards the left, and if you're wondering why they don't give chase, they're not fast enough. They can run forever, but they don't run very quickly. And those impala keep them at a distance. They're coming out now. They will hunt from time to time, and especially in East Africa. but out here they tend to be more scavengers. Those upturned tails are very indicative of something going down, as it were. They're on a boundary, they've picked up scent of something they don't like, they're not happy with. It looks like a big female in the front there. Crystal, you reckon that this is Corky, so a less dominant member of our Djuma clan of hyenas. That's probably the big female you're recognizing. I must say I didn't get close enough to be able to tell that. And Kuma, is that right? One of the males. And another one called Kala. I don't know that one at all. Thank you, Crystal. And if you're wondering, everybody, how, or if perhaps you're a new viewer, how on earth they know who these hyenas are, we spent months watching them at their den, learning their different identifying marks and features before they absconded north over our boundary onto another reserve where they've been for, what now, Brian? About 5 months odd, I would have thought. Now, I'm tempted to try and follow them, but it's very thick through there, so we might just turn and go down towards Twin Dams, which is the direction that they are going. Very cool. While we do that, TAYLA, I think, is down there somewhere looking for the royal family. Let's go and find out how that search is going.
Good morning. We are stalling slightly, of course, to go and find the royal family, purely just because I want to make sure that we have the best light so that I don't miss the best tracks of the best leopards. Now, my name is TAYLA McCurdy, and on camera with me this morning is David. He's laughing. He thought what I said was ridiculous. But what we're doing as well is we're also stalling for a very good reason, is because I've been telling you for the last couple of days now about this road, this beautiful sunrise road that we were wanting to drive, and I'm hoping we're going to get a chance to do it this morning. We're creeping along because the sun is being very rude and it's taking its time today. It does not want to rise just yet. I don't know when it's going to start. No, I'm starting to see a little bit of pink forming in the far distance now, so that's normally a good sign. And it's basically where we had the lions for the TV show. Basically, it's just after that you carry on going, and it's just the most beautiful view. It sort of comes towards a big opening. You lose all of these little silver cluster leaf trees, all of these bush willow trees. They start to thin out, and you're left with some beautiful grasslands with scattered marulas. And the way that the sun creeps in is just absolutely amazing. So we have to go very slowly, very, very slowly, because it has to be perfect. It can't be less than perfect. I will not settle for that. And just while we're chatting, David actually brought up again this morning about that mysterious chameleon that evaporated in the bush the other day. The one, was it 2 afternoons ago? Not yesterday, the day before. And we were so disappointed. And we still can't believe, and we don't know where it's gone to, because that was just ridiculous. Oh yes, David, you see it's starting? You see what I'm getting at? David hasn't done this yet, but we're gonna get it needs. Oh wow, okay. I'm gonna have to pick up the pace now, David, because we're about to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is so cool. Not yet. You can't see it yet. My countdown was a little bit too early. I'm not as good as the directors. But look, we'll stop here. Oh, Kirsten, I ruined it as well. She said, I didn't say you're alive, you're alive. But look at the mist. Look at the sun. The clouds are just becoming pink now. And the birds are so beautiful. We'll actually sit quietly just now, but I want to watch it first come up, and we'll wait for it to just reach a little bit higher in the sky until those rays can shine across all the trees and all the grass. And then we will start the slow drive-by. And I hope you're excited for this, and I hope that it's going to be a good one today, and I haven't played it up. Oh no, David, look at that cloud that's moving towards there. No, wind, change direction. Please change direction and blow it the other way. But it's amazing how quickly the sun comes up. I mean, you saw the moon, it disappeared within a couple of seconds. But I haven't seen mist over the northern Sabi sand like this before. I just... Sorry. So sorry. I was just imagining a song in my head, and then the lyrics came out, or the way that I said it matched the lyrics. I apologize. I'm not going to sing it now. I'm so embarrassed. Oh no. What's wrong with me, David? Sorry, so much. I apologize for my little moment that I just had. I've got the serious giggles. I don't know why. I can't compose myself. I'm sorry. As we watch the sun come up, it's really beautiful. It actually almost looks like a bit of an ocean, don't you think, David, with a couple of islands in the middle? And those aren't low-lying clouds. Like I said, that's mist, and those are trees that you are looking at. David, I'll sing the song to you off air. Oh my goodness. This is just amazing. But I'm actually going to just sit quietly for 1 minute to compose myself, and that also so that you can sit and listen to the beautiful dawn chorus. And there it comes. I hope that you are all enjoying this as much as I am, or David and I are. And this is probably one of the most special things you could ever do when you're in Africa, and it was one of my favorite things to do. If my guests were willing to get up early enough, you just have to fill them up with coffee and rusks and biscuits and all types of things to get them going. Load them in the car, and then you go and find the most perfect spot. And my most perfect spot was at the dam in front of the lodge. It had a beautiful dead knobthorn with a massive buffalo weaver nest, and there were always hippos. There was always a pod of about 10 hippos. And there was a big gap. It was almost like you were in a rift, and you could see straight towards the east and where the sun came up. And there were no obstructions, just a small row of trees. And to see the hippos snorting and having them backlit, just everything about it was really beautiful. And to me, I know yesterday we were talking about what is the sound of Africa. And to me, the sound of Africa is hippos first thing in the morning. That whole snorting in the water and blowing the water up. And then, of course, that beautiful... David, you're supposed to do it with me. We'll have to challenge James and Byron, of course, to hippo calls this morning. David, we're almost there. We've got a couple of minutes, and I know we're spending a lot of time with the sunrise, but like I said, it's something very special. And I don't know when we've watched a sunrise from the beginning until it completely pops up. We haven't done this for a very long time. And I think it's important to appreciate something like this. Yeah, well, of course we can. Kirsty's just said that the hyenas have popped out again, so the sun's still going to rise. Let's go back across to James.
Just a quick one, everybody. They've come down to a pan on Ingwe Alley Road. They've both had, two of them have had a swim. I don't know where the third is. They had a drink, and now they're heading off down to the south. They're listening to something. I'm just going to quickly ask Kirsten, where is TAYLA? because these guys are heading straight onto Twin Dams Road, I think. I think they're going to pop out at the Mulwati Junction Twin Dams. If TAYLA, I know TAYLA's looking for the Royals down somewhere in that area, but I don't think she went that way. So I'm going to head down that way and just follow these chaps, because I think it's worth following them. So we'll change our plans slightly from heading due north to try and find the lions. And we can't, I mean, we could follow them off-road, but you know what, that's a very thick block, and hyenas, it's so funny, when they're young, you know, many of you have seen them at the den sites. They come towards the car, they're curious about us, and they spend a good deal of time investigating, sniffing the tires. They turn to adults, they're not nearly as tolerant, and they don't like being followed off-road. So I mean, like, you know, we can follow Karula basically 4 feet from her, she won't even react. Same with the lions. These chaps don't like that at all, and they'll run. As soon as you start crunching behind them, they really dislike it. So we've got to kind of keep our distance. It's always a little bit difficult to follow them. Hold on tight, everyone. There's a drainage system that runs through the front here and goes down onto Twin Dams. Dina, probably quite the opposite. As we're talking about how these animals react to the vehicles, you say if a new animal comes through this area, how do they react to the vehicles? Are they more dangerous? They're normally much more fearful of us, and they will normally run away. Everything from a hyena to a lion to an elephant to whatever else it might be coming through here, a leopard, when they see a vehicle for the first time, they find it very scary. They don't see it as something to attack. Elephants certainly might be more prone to coming after a vehicle if they've never seen one before, but that's simply because they're fearful and being defensive. It's not because they are, you know, see it as something that is less than scary. That makes sense? Right, now this game path that they were running on pops out over here. And they do like to use a good game path, the hyenas. It comes out in these pan systems here. All out through here. There's an impala. Is that one there, Brian? No, it's a log. Let's just turn off and wait here. Right, we're going to wait here for a little while and see if they don't pop out. But off to the east the sun's coming up, and off to the west TAYLA is watching the sun come up.
We are indeed watching again, and you can see that that mist is about to burn away. It cannot withstand the harsh rays of the sun. And this scene really does remind me of Zambia in the valley. You'd often go and sit yourself up on a little bit of a koppie, a rise, and you used to watch the sun come over, but it would be massive open plains covered with mist, and then of course the sun. Now we've just got to wait for the sun to very quickly pop back up behind. That cloud has got awfully big all of a sudden, David. I don't know if our road is going to work today. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll take it easy. But it is very beautiful as you're driving along this road and you're sort of gazing off towards the sun. And then, well, normally when the sun is sort of bright and not hiding behind a cloud, it hits all of this grass that you see. And just sort of the scattering of light through the trees is normally quite beautiful as well. But that cloud is very sneaky and it's now hidden away, our beautiful sun. But at least we watched it pop its head over the horizon. I thought that was really stunning. But David, you see what I mean, don't you? How lovely it could quite be. It's fine, we'll save that for another day. We can't have it all in one go. But it gets even better and better as we start to come towards the quarantine plains. But like I said, unfortunately that other big cloud is now also blown in. And it's not going to do what we want it to do, but that's okay because the light is now perfect for us to go and find some tracks and hopefully actual leopards this morning. I feel like I haven't seen a leopard in a long time. We need to change that. David, when did you last see leopards? Oh, it was with me when we saw Kuchaba, that beautiful older daughter of Tundi. She was a lovely leopard. I wouldn't mind seeing her again. Right, but let's carry on. We're going to zip back around now. We're probably going to go onto... I think we'll probably go onto Karula's favourite road, which is Shabamo, which is where we were walking yesterday. I can't believe that because they were just south off of our traverse, we must have walked past those leopards yesterday. They must have been just in the bushes, just off of our traverse. Oh, Angry Ellie! Our friend Angry Ellie's here. He's not actually that angry. He just had one bad day, and I feel terrible now because we've given him this name. But he's actually quite a darling. He's very sweet. But he's eating his marulas at exactly the same spot that he was eating them yesterday morning. He's got a routine now. Like we've got our own elephant that we see every single drive. I think it's quite wonderful. But no, we'll have to stick with the name Angry Ellie. Hey David, he made such an impression. And also because Eggsy had said it. Remember when he drove past us looking very smooth, looking very cool, saying, "Hey TAYLA, watch out, there's an Angry Ellie." Those were his exact words to us. And there was an Angry Ellie. It chased the wildebeest. Hi boy. Just let him know that we're coming. We don't want to surprise him. Yes, we have to show you. We're going to show you as well. We're not sure what happened to the sign that says the Djuma Research Center late last night. We thought that maybe someone had done a sneaky reverse into it, but they hadn't, because there was no sort of tail lights or anything like that left behind. There was none of that. It was a smooth push over, and I think this is the culprit here. Angry Ellie, did you push down our sign? That's not very nice. Would you mind helping pick it up again, because it's exceptionally heavy. It's a block of concrete, and well, we're not quite as strong as you are. But he's a lovely boy, this. He's a youngster. I think he's going through maybe puberty at the moment, so he's feeling a little bit stressed. He doesn't know what to do with himself. But at least he's got marulas to eat, and look how many he's eaten. Because you've seen a couple of times, especially the other morning when we saw that all fallen on the ground again, they're gone. There's just a couple of little ones. And I think he's just missed those. Because those still look alright. I'd probably eat them. Maybe not, though, if he's put his trunk over and slobbered all over it. I probably wouldn't want to eat it then. But he's quite lovely. And I'm hoping that he does hang around, because our goal, of course, is to get him, and David and I have seen it now once, but is to hopefully get him this afternoon up against the skyline on quarantine and get a silhouette shot of an elephant. But he's lovely, and he's very easy to tell the difference between other elephants, is because he's got that tear in his left ear. It looks like someone's taken scissors and snipped a bit out, but of course that's not what's happened. It's most likely a thorn that's unfortunately pushed through the very thin skin that an elephant has on its ears and has ripped it. But it's an old injury. You can see it's completely healed, and it's not an uncommon injury, especially to see on young elephants. He's watching us. Look at his eyes just looking towards us. He's now taking a break from eating the lovely juicy marulas, and he's decided he's just going to munch on a shrub for a little bit. And it's good elephant. It's good to vary your diet. You shouldn't just have too much of a good thing, and I think marulas can be too much of a good thing. And it's something that I've noticed that he does a lot. Did you see that? He's constantly blowing dust into his face. Wherever he can, he picks up a little bit of sand, and we saw it yesterday morning too. He'll walk around and he blows sort of sand towards his head. So I think it's a very clever way. They've got very long eyelashes, so that should protect the dirt from going in. Well, at least some of it. And I think he does it to try and get rid of all of the little flies, because all those tiny little flies, you can see he's even bringing his ears right towards his eyes when he flaps them. So they must be trying to go into the corner of his eyes just to feed or to get the moisture, of course, which they do to us as well. And try to go up your nose, and you see that. He becomes very irritated by them. Don't worry, angry Ellie, I understand your pain. They do that to me. They try and go up my nostrils. And that's never fun. David, do they go up your nostrils? Yes, often. Too often. Now that's when you don't want to hear the word too often. Well, we're going to leave this elephant bull now. We're going to start making our way back towards, well, where Hosana was last seen. Now we've seen the sunrise from the ground. Let's go across and take a bird's eye view and see what the sunrise looks like from the sky. Oh, lovely. Isn't that amazing that you can see the sun and all the mist that is covering, of course, further south, or not further south, further south towards the southern Sabi sand. It is really, really lovely. I'm jealous that I can't see the view that you're all looking at, and I'm sure it all looks lovely and green. You might even be able to spot James somewhere around. You might even be able to see me. Oh, apparently you can't see too much green because the sunlight is just absolutely beautiful. And this is the best time for photography as well, just to get some interesting shots with the dew covering the grass, of course, and then that light reflecting off it, I suppose. Now the roads are popping up. All the little pans as the sun starts to rise a little bit. And finally, the greenery is now also out and about. It's amazing how bright the sun is. It's just incredible how it can completely blind you. I'm a little bit blind now. I tried to take a very quick photo of the sunrise, and then I remembered that it's not a good idea to stare into the sun, so don't do that. Oh wow, it's really beautiful now. This is perfect. So let's go and find those leopards, and we're going to go back across to James, who's got he's got something with feathers.
That was a very mysterious link, wasn't it, everybody? Something with feathers. I bet none of you had any idea what we were looking at. Well, surprise! It's a bird. It's a juvenile brown snake eagle, everybody. Now, I'll tell you how I know that. It's got yellow eyes, which you can see. It's got the look of a brown snake eagle. In other words, it's sort of it's got a big head, it's got no feathers on its legs. It's juvenile because it's so scruffy. Look how scruffy it is. I mean, this chap just hasn't bothered to make his bed or brush his hair. But once you've seen one brown snake eagle, they do tend to really look very similar, and it's very easy to tell that that's what they are. Now, I'm quite hoping that Connor is going to bring it or get it together enough to come across here and do one of his fly-arounds. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. And then behind us, this is Wahlberg. Ooh-wee. Hang on a second. Connor's going to have to do this. The Wahlberg's eagle has just landed behind us in the most gorgeous tree. Connor, if you're listening to me, my friend, have you got another one there? Or is that the eagle? I'm sorry about that, Brian. I do apologize. Connor, stop there if you can, and just below you there's a dead tree. Just in the direction you were going, over there. I'm just pointing, because there is the eagle in the tree. Now, I don't know if you guys have had the privilege of watching one of these little scenes where Connor spins around the tree with the bird at sort of head height, and he's done it with this very bird in there. That's one of the pale form Wahlbergs. Now watch this. He'll just let Connor get into position, and the eagle just watches the drone going around the tree. It's the fantastic thing to see. Let's see if she allows us to do it to her again. We'll just wait for Connor to get into position and get a view of the bird. And for some reason the bird just doesn't normally react to the drone. Here we go. Okay, have a look at this. Now you can see the sunrise and the bird, and the great thing about this drone is that it has a zoom lens, which means that he can stay quite far away from the bird and still view it. So he's now about, I don't know, he's probably about 100 feet from the bird, and so although the bird is absolutely aware of this sort of Independence Day craft moving around it, it's not in the slightest bit disturbed. Isn't that gorgeous? All the shadows. Bird is carrying on doing its preening. It's not slightly worried by it. Oh, that's great. You can see all the rays of the sun cutting through. This very strange sort of puffy mist that's come through the day. It is a glorious, I nearly couldn't decide whether to say glorious or gorgeous. He's going to try and get a little bit closer to the bird. If the bird does fly, he will back off immediately. You can see the bird is continuing to do its preening. Yeah, that's close enough, I think. The bird's definitely watching him. And there's a little sparrow there with him, with the eagle. A little, probably a grey-headed sparrow. Now, this is very much a situation of habituation. So we're trying to get the bird used to the drone in the same way that we wanted the young leopards to get used to the vehicles, and there goes the bird. Now, we won't follow it, of course. It'll just go up into the tree around where the nest is. Right, wasn't that special? There it goes. It's just going towards the old nest tree. There we are. Beautiful. Now, I mean, it's not ideal, of course. I do think that we probably chased the bird out of the tree, but it's part of the habituation process, and it doesn't worry me for that eagle. We know that it lives around here, and it'll probably go off back towards, in fact, I can see it landed in its nest tree, so that's okay. We just have to test the limits every so often, but very clearly there we saw, oh dear, this car is not starting. Very clearly we saw there, got used to it, more and more used to it, and then eventually decided, yes, I probably want a little bit more quiet than this. So we'll remember that for next time, and slowly we will hopefully habituate all the birds and the animals to the drone. Now, TAYLA's gone back south. Those hyenas obviously changed direction, and I think TAYLA's found them again.
We found one of the hyenas, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the three that you saw earlier with James. But this one is now sitting in the long grass on the side of the road. Hello! Are you going to come walking down towards us? This is awesome. I haven't seen... Oh, listen, listen. Wasn't that amazing? That is so cool. The last time that I had a hyena whoop as it walked past my vehicle was easily a year and a half ago. And also very early morning with the mist. That was amazing. Wasn't that incredible? David, did you get goosebumps? I got goosebumps. I always get goosebumps when I hear things like that. Short and sweet, and that's all right. That's what sightings are supposed to be like. Maybe we're going to bump up into the rest around the road. That call, and I really wish you could sit here. It doesn't quite have the power like a lion's roar does, so the vehicle doesn't vibrate, your bones don't shake inside your body, but it's got this amazing tone to it, but it's not deafening either. It's a very pleasant tone to listen to. And I'm always so surprised as to how something that's sort of a lot more high-pitched than what a lion's roar is can travel so far as well. Because, you know, you hear hyenas from miles away, just in the very, very far distance. That is amazing. These drives and walks over the last couple of days have just been absolutely spectacular. But we're here, we're about to go into Shibama Road. And we're going to do a bit of searching around. We're going to check carefully for tracks, and hopefully we're going to find you a leopard. But Mr. Byron SERRAO is now woken up, and he's started his walk. And well, I think he's a bit bonkers because he's not wearing a jersey. Let's go say good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome on the bushwalk. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this morning is Craig. TAYLA, it's warming up quite a bit. It's not cold at all. I think when you're on a vehicle, it's a little bit different, especially because you get going a little bit earlier. Now, I've seen a lot of interesting tracks around, and I wanted to show you one in particular over here. And it is actually what TAYLA has just seen. She's seen a hyena. But if you have a look, here's the hyena track. Now, it's a little obscured, and the reason for that is this hyena has actually been running. So what's happened is the back pad is around the back over there, and here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. But how I can tell that it's been running is you can see it's actually dug in with the toes in the front, and that's obviously as it runs it digs in and kicks out. So that's exactly what's happened over there. So these hyena have been moving around quite a bit. We heard that one now that TAYLA had. So there's quite a bit of hyena activity. I see Connor has arrived with the drone above us, so he's out and about too, which is interesting. Something else that I find fascinating at the moment is that there's a lot of grasses around that we haven't seen, and especially because of all this rain that we've had, which is wonderful, and I do enjoy grasses. And if I just glance around me at the moment, it's one of my favorite little grasses. And I'm not sure if you've seen it yet. I'm sure you have, but for those of you who haven't, this beautiful little grass over here is called the love grass. Now, this is Arathusa superba, and I'd actually like to show you, if you look at the inflorescence on the grass, if you have a look at that, it's almost heart-shaped. I suppose actually if I turn it like that, it's heart-shaped. So it's known as love grass, and we always learned that, you know, there are no roses or anything out here. So one of the perfect gifts, if you wanted to impress somebody, was pick a lot of love grass and then take this to them, as opposed to roses if you are in the bush. And that's Arathusa superba, but very, very beautiful. There's a lot of moisture. There's a lot of moisture on the grass at the moment. A bit of dew in that from last night, which is very nice. So a lot of really, really interesting grasses around, which is great. So we'll do some grass at some point with you. We'll show you a few more. I know James was showing you a few yesterday, and some flowers. And now I've just heard some oxpeckers fly over me. Now, whenever you're on the walk, it's always very, very important that you listen out for oxpeckers, because they obviously sit on animals and pick off the ticks. So whenever you are walking around, it's very important to listen out for those little birds, because there's potentially animals around. It could just be impala or kudu or giraffe, but it could also perhaps be a buffalo. So you never know. So we're always very, very careful when we do hear birds like that. And that's the one crucial thing about being on a walk, is that you need to listen to your surroundings. You need to use your other senses, not just your eyesight, because especially now when the bush is very, very thick, you do have to be quite careful. It is a beautiful morning though. Like I said, TAYLA said it was a bit cold, but it's actually warming up quite nicely, and especially for us now on the walk. And so we'll see what we can find. It seemed like there was a bit of mist this morning, and I think that's also why there's so much moisture on the grass. Let's see what other interesting tracks we might have around. It was interesting to see, we saw at least 2 hyena tracks running about. Now I wonder if they weren't perhaps looking for Karula. I know she had a kill yesterday, just south of our boundary, so perhaps they're trying to pick up on the scent of any leopard activity around. We know that hyena do follow a leopard at times. The reason for that is because it's easier for them to scavenge off of a leopard than it is to scavenge off lions. So if they find a leopard that has perhaps got a little carcass, then they might try and steal that from them, as opposed to trying to steal it from lions, or trying to steal a carcass from lions. Another interesting little track. It's a bit of an obscure track at the moment because the sand is quite deep and thick, but there's a beautiful little paw mark just in the sand over here. Can you see that? It doesn't look very, very clear at the moment. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, there's a clearer one up ahead. Let me just show you. Let's go over here. And here we go. Here's a little bit of a clearer one. Nice round track. Now this is an African civet that has been walking along the road here during the course of the evening. So that's the track. It's a perfect, well, what looks like a cat track, but we know that a civet is not part of the cat family. But 1, 2, 3, 4 toes and a beautiful round back pad. Very, very round track. So it's easy to identify the African civet. Alright, well, what a lovely start. Some beautiful tracks, some wonderful grasses. We're going to see what we can find this morning for you. Hopefully some small, interesting little creatures. While I do that, let's head back over to James, get an update from him and see where he is.
There, Brian, it's over there.
Hang on, I can't get there yet. I wasn't ready.
There's a hornbill over there, everybody. Please, when we next go to Byron, everyone, will you remind him that it is not in fact the afternoon, it is the morning. A grey hornbill, perfectly perched on a marula limb, now flying down to the south, where hopefully it will find some worms to eat. For as we know, Brian, the early bird catches
all the worms.
All the worms.
All of them.
Right, we're on the northern boundary, everyone, and we're trying to find tracks of the Nkahuma pride. As yet, none. I suspect quite strongly that they have gone further north into Beef Hook, which we're not going to worry too much about, because hopefully that means they'll come back for TV. And there is a Koki Franklin calling inside Buffelshoek. Don't you think I'm really good at doing bird calls, Brian?
Especially the Koki Franklin.
Especially the Koki Franklin. Would you like me to do it again?
Yes, please. Can you try a different key?
A different key?
Yes. There we go.
Is that right?
Yes.
Sorry, everyone. I do apologise. We're going to check at Sydney's dam. Oh. This is where they were. They were just northwest of this sign here yesterday evening. Well, I'm going to turn off, just have a listen. perfect rhythm. That is the Steeling's wren warbler. There's he there. It's Byron's favourite bird. The Steeling's wren warbler, and I thought I saw some lion tracks here, but I didn't. Or did I? No, I didn't. So we'll carry along here. Most birds, if you try and sort of click along to their rhythm, they lose rhythm. They don't have an exact kind of metronomic rhythm. Their calls, their calls are interspersed slightly differently each time. That bird is very rhythmic. You can set a metronome to it. Still going. Brian wants to see a picture of the Steeling's wren warbler. I can tell. He is too shy to tell me, but he really does want to see it. Don't you, Brian? Steeling's wren warbler. I do like to read and drive, Brian. I find it's very good for multitasking. It helps me to be amazing. It helps me to be amazing, Brian. Yeah. And you can see I'm succeeding. There it is, it's number 1. I don't think everyone else should be forced to read while we drive, though. He's quite a pretty bird, though. The Steeling's wren warbler. Oh, he's number 2, sorry, he's not number 1 at all. They look quite similar, though. See, he's got bars on him. That's why he used to be called the Steeling's barred warbler. Very nice. Incredible. This is rather incredible. Incredible. Good. And apparently a number of you think I'm very silly. Well, I would love to argue against that, but I just don't think that that's possible. There is a woodland kingfisher. You see it, Brian, on the top of that tree there. But the main reason I want to stop here, it's gone. But just look at the cloud bank in front of us. It really is quite spectacular. Sorry about that, I'll try and keep the car level. Isn't that amazing? Some zebra tracks going to and fro, hither and yon across the road. Hello, Mia in Illinois. You want to know how much we like the live drives, and do they stress us out? Mia, I'm in a state of constant abject panic because of the live drives. I find them terrifying, don't you, Brian?
Yes.
It really is, possibly the scariest thing I've ever had to do. It's the most stressful thing I've ever had to do. It's
nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking. Mia, it's the best job I've ever had. And yes, there is an element of stress to it. Here we've got lion tracks. The element of stress comes from not finding things and when we want to find things. But no, look, I wouldn't describe it as a particularly terrifying job. And certainly it's extremely satisfying when we find fun things and then we have great discussions about them. So no, not a great deal of stress. I imagine for some people, however, we all know, of course, that I don't know if this is actually true, but I think it is, that if you ask people what they are most afraid of in the world, most people will say that they're afraid of public speaking. They won't say, I'm afraid of dying. They'll say, I'm afraid of public speaking. So to those sorts of people, and there are many of them, and spiders, then I suppose this might be a fairly terrifying activity to have to engage in. But for those of us who rather enjoy performance, it's quite fun. Hello, Penny Pie. You heard that Graham and Jamie have headed to Pasadena. Now, I mean, that sounds like a story, doesn't it? You want to know if they're working on a movie deal. No, they're not working on a movie deal. As far as I'm aware, what they're doing is eloping. No, they're not eloping. They're there to promote the show with Nat.Geo Wild. And I think it's largely the Facebook component of it, the online component. I think that's what they're doing. And Jamie's going to give a talk or a presentation, and Graham will have a few meetings and that sort of thing. But they're not working on a movie deal, as far as I'm aware. Word does travel. Right. We're going to turn around here. We're at Sydney's Dam. There's a fish eagle right there. Forward. I can't really go forward, Brian, on account of the fact that I'm now trespassing. Oh, there it is. Oh, very nice. A slightly juvenile fish eagle, everyone. And we know that just because it's quite mottled on the back. The word mottled is a good word, isn't it, Brian? Can hear some alarm calling squirrels, but they're way in the distance. Gosh, the morning weather is quite astounding today with the clouds and that amazing sunrise we had. And now a fish eagle, Brian. Beautiful. Grey hornbills calling in the background. They sound so plaintive and so sad. Virtual starlings, the buzz of the spider hunting wops. I don't know if you heard. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? That was from a little flock of red-billed quilias who we've been speaking about, but we haven't managed to show you any on screen yet, I don't think. Little finches, scourge of the grainlands of Zimbabwe, where in vast flocks of millions of birds, they're like locusts going through the grain fields, devouring all the seeds. Oh, those hornbills are having a really sad song at each other, aren't they? This would be a perfect spot, Brian, to set up a little breakfast, I feel. Lynn, no, not for some time, actually. You say, have we seen any ground hornbills lately? No, we haven't. But I can tell you that fairly recently, Jamie and Brent went off to have lunch with two of the owners of Buffelshoek, Patsy and Tommy, and Patsy and Tommy took them off to a ground hornbill's nest inside Buffelshoek. That was about, I think, 3 months ago or so, and recently a picture was sent from that location. There is a chick in that nest, so that's really good news for the ground hornbills, but I haven't heard or seen them for some time. So they're probably just very busy looking after their youngster up in Buffelshoek. Or on Torchwood, it's on one of the two. That fish eagle, I think, is probably wasting its time slightly here. on account of the fact that there is not a great deal of water in Sydney's dam. And while we contemplate what the fish eagle is contemplating, we'll head across to TAYLA. She's on the southern boundary somewhere now, and find out if she's got tracks of the royal family.
So what we did see is we saw another group of hyenas. I couldn't tell you how many there were, but I saw at least 2, and I suspect that there were a few more. So we actually went bounding off after them to try and catch up to those they look very active hyenas. They were racing around. But unfortunately, the route that they took through the trees was not a route that I could have followed them through. So we've lost them. I don't know where they've now gone, but that's okay. We're coming up to the boundary again, and I didn't see any leopard tracks yet crossing into our traverse. So I'm wondering if Karula has killed, well, she obviously killed something. I wonder if it maybe wasn't quite large and they just haven't finished their meal yet and they're still crunching away on the other side of the road. But we're going to go back and have another look now. And maybe we see some more hyenas come around here. But also, if the hyenas were running around, I'm sure they would have found where Karula and her cubs were. Just here, just sort of west of Weaver's Nest. And I'm sure that they would have chased them around and probably chased them up to the top of a tree. Maybe not Karula herself. She'd probably stand up to a couple of hyenas. However, those youngsters are still a bit small, and well, they wouldn't want to be snatched up by a hyena. That wouldn't be a very nice way to unfortunately die. I can't imagine that would be very pleasant. So they would have raced right up to the top of a tree to try to keep out of the hyenas' mouths. But David and I are scanning. Oh, hello, Hornbill. Isn't that beautiful? That lovely little... Yeah, not a little, it's a rather large yellow-billed hornbill. Hey, clean your beak. Like a toothpick there, just prodded in. Maybe he had a bit of a beetle carapace stuck onto the inside of its beak. Hello. Yes, good morning. Now, what are you eating? That's a piece of wood. That was interesting. Maybe there was a little something in there that was just trying to get out, and it's being exceptionally obliging this morning as well. Isn't that just lovely? I love the way that they turn their heads like that too. Now, good morning, Eleanor. Eleanor, you were wondering if I enjoy tracking new animals or animals that have already been named and have a little bit of information about them. Eleanor, I don't think... Oh, and off it goes. That was wonderful. Now, Ellen, I don't have a preference. I don't mind tracking any animals. Even tracking a buffalo is fun, and we haven't really got any names for the buffalo and that type of thing. It's really just the big cats. So any of them is fine, whether they've been found before or not. If not, that's quite exciting. I mean, to try and figure out who they are, where they've come from, that's always quite a nice sort of game to play, a mystery to try and solve. But no, I don't really have a particular favorite. As long as we get to find the animals in the end, that's what really makes me happy. And tracking is so hard and can be so frustrating at times. Just because you think that you're on the freshest of fresh tracks, but these animals move so quickly through this bush, and they're clever. They probably would have spotted you way before you even knew that they were in the area. Pretty much exactly like what happened yesterday with Hosana, just sitting off on the other side of the road, and we didn't see him, all the rest of the gang. And, well, when we moved off, we decided, no, he's going to come out and just, have a little look around. But we're back on Gowrie Main now, and oh, there's the leopard. Oh, that's amazing. This is exactly, David, this is exactly where I said that it looked like he was sitting yesterday. Hello, we were just talking about you, you sneaky cat. And I got a little bit of a fright because it looks like young Hosana. He popped his head out of the long grass, and we've already driven past here. He was not here. I think he was hiding away from those hyenas, like I said, because they came charging out of this area. Hey, big boy, are you happy now that you haven't got anybody chasing after you? And it's so funny, because I said to David, when I got back from my walk, I went into final control and I was watching. And I said it looked like he was sitting on a bit of a sandy patch, like these termite mounds. And we drove past and said, like, just exactly like this. And now he's come out again. Thank you, boy. That's very kind of you. I'm going to quickly just, we'll call it in, though, in a moment, because I know that the other guards will be looking for a leopard too. But we'll just have a little look first. Hello, boy. You can see all that lovely dew on the grass as well. That must be nice and cool and comforting. And where are you going now? And I wonder where they're drinking water as well. Maybe there's a couple. I don't know this property to our left very well. So there could be a couple of little... oh no, what's he got? Something is in the grass. Maybe a tortoise? Yes, I'm pretty sure it's a tortoise. But you've got a full belly. You don't need it. But that's not going to stop his natural instinct. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's not a tortoise. Maybe it's something else. It seems to be moving quickly. Come on, pick it up. Show us what you've got. Still just keeping an eye out. You can see that he's a little bit hesitant every now and then, watching over his shoulder. No, it's definitely a tortoise. I just saw him turn it over. And now he's trying to bite it. Bored. Hosana, that's not very nice. Turn it back over. That poor tortoise, I'm sure it will be able to make an escape and make a getaway. Now he's sitting inside a termite. He's a funny boy. He's actually got his legs inside the termite mound now. There's a little cavity that's been dug out, so maybe there was... maybe it was an aardvark that was digging there last night. Maybe it was Hosana who's just been playing around. But his leg is inside the hole. Look, there you go. You can see. Are you going to go in? No, you're going to lay across it. And he's really, really coming on with his leopard poses now, isn't he, David? Hello, beautiful boy. Now, if you have just started watching us, and you're unsure as to who this leopard is and who Hosana is, so this is Hosana, and he is the son of the queen of this area. Her name is Karula, and she also has a daughter, a young daughter, the same age as Hosana, 11 months old. They're almost a year old now. And her name is Xongile. So they're somewhere around here. I thought I could hear some grinding, but I'm going to call the sighting in very quickly. Mobiles have just located young Madura Ingwe. It's Hosana. We're just on Gari Main, west of Weaver's Nest is one unlock. Now what we're going to have to do though is I need to just pull off the road slightly because there's a car coming in front of us, a civilian car, and I don't want this vehicle to frighten. So we'll just pull off just to the side of Hosana. Sometimes these normal cars can give them a little bit of a fright. There we go, they're just sneaking past us now. Here we go. See him watching the car go past. He's not sure what that silver vehicle is. We're on the main road, remember. Well, we're going to sit here a little bit longer with Hosana and see what he gets up to. I'm going to have to jump into the radio now. But we're going to go back across to Byron, who is at a very small pan.
We are at a small little pan at the moment, but while we're on a walk, these little pans are very, very important, and they actually give us a lot of signs of animal activity. Now, just having a look around here, there's definitely been animals during the course of yesterday and last night that have been down to drink. There are little splashes of water around and about, and not just animals or large animals, but also little terrapins. I saw look like little marsh terrapins, just the head sticking up now and then. I don't see any now at the moment, but there are signs of them. And they're biting flies at the moment. And our dear friend Connor, who has become a helicopter pilot, I believe, has got his helicopter around. So let's have a view from the drone and we'll show you exactly what the pan looks like and where we are standing. So, hello everyone, I hope you can see me from the helicopter, the drone. I wonder if I'm going to get into trouble for calling it a helicopter. Connor might not be impressed. Now, you can see the beautiful pan that I'm standing at the moment, and this is a wonderful, wonderful area. You can see there are a lot of little pathways, and I'm sure from above you can see it clearly. Pathways leading down to these water holes. Obviously the animals coming down to drink. There are signs, as I said, of animals being around. There's some buffalo tracks right next to me over here that they've actually slid in the mud. And I'm assuming what would have happened is we would have got 1 or 2 big buffalo bulls that lay in this mud wallow. We know they like to wallow around in the mud, and they like to lie in these mud wallows and wallow around because it protects their skin and helps cool them down. So here is the buffalo track that I was talking about, just over here. And there seems to be a little jumping spider. I wonder if you can get it there.
Hello again everyone, we're just driving along the Beefleshoek cut line here. I thought I saw some lion tracks, but it turned out that they were not lion tracks at all, and so I don't know what they were in fact, but it was only a sort of well, it was probably an animal that had danced around into the shape of a lion track, but otherwise no. So we're going to continue along towards Beefleshoek Dam. Sorry we lost a bushwalk, I'm not sure what happened there. Byron has had some rather remarkably bad luck. He had the afternoon off the other day when bushwalk went down, then he had the morning off yesterday when Rusty went down, and now he seems to be having another morning off. Who knows? I've taken my jersey off on account of the fact that it's starting to warm up quite nicely now. It's a beautiful day yet again here. Right, apparently Byron has got picture again. Let's go back to him.
Sorry, we just lost you there for a second. So as I was pointing out, that beautiful buffalo track, which is down in the mud, and it's come through and it most likely wallowing around, and as we know they like to cake the mud on themselves. And then there's another sign that the buffalo was here. If you look around just over here, this is a tree that's been fallen over, an old knob thorn that's been pushed over probably by an elephant, judging by where it's broken. But what has happened is animals have started using this as a rubbing post. Now, what would have happened is the buffalo most likely would have come out of the mud wallow, and what they do is they then come, and you can actually see how they've rubbed this piece of, or the stump, actually very smooth. It's completely smooth here at the moment. You can also see the soil and the mud that's been left behind just with inside these cracks. So the buffalo will come out, and then what they do is they'll let me see if I can actually do it, or I don't know how my rubbing technique, or what my rubbing technique's like, but they'll come and rub up against the tree like this, and what that does is scrapes off the mud, also gets rid of the ticks and that might be sitting on them, and then they'll continue moving. So there's a lot of signs around here that the animals have been using this little mud wallow fairly frequently, which is good and it's interesting, but it just shows you we've always got to be very, very careful when walking around and approaching these little mud wallows. So it does help if you know the area very well, you know where these mud wallows are, and you can be a little bit more careful when approaching them, because there could be a buffalo bull lying in the mud, which would not be something that you'd want to surprise. We'll carry on, and yeah, some more sign of buffalo, some buffalo dung actually over here, but this isn't that fresh, probably from yesterday or the day before. It's dried up quite a bit. You can see the dung beetles have been breaking it down already too, so it's not that fresh, which is a good sign for us. I was laughing earlier because Herbert has been trying to show us some flowers, and especially now this time of year there are a lot of flowers around, and I I know a fair amount of flowers. However, there's it's still very difficult and you forget all of them. So Herbert picked a yellow flower and it was a commelina. And I know the commelinas, but I just haven't seen them for a while. And you sometimes forget about these things. And he said to me, what flower is this? And I said to him, you know, please, whatever you do, don't pick yellow flowers. I don't know what they are. But I'm just trying to see. I know James was showing you. Now this is a wonderful smelling plant. This is wild sage that I can smell. That's exactly what it is. It looks almost similar to that wild aniseed that James had the other day, but these are just the seeds of the wild sage. And wonderful, wonderful, wonderful strong smell. Can you smell it? Very, very strong smell. Now, Eric, you wanted to know, are there invasive plants around? Yes, there are. We do have invasive plants that come through occasionally, not many. And there are one or two alien plants that do occur in these areas, but predominantly along the riverbanks, because what will happen is they get washed down, especially when there are floods. The seeds and that will get washed down with the floods, and they're deposited along the edges of riverbanks. Now, there is one specific one that I actually can't remember the name. I'm going to have to look it up for you. And there are people that actually go and they try and dig and kill this invasive plant. It's an alien. It's not meant to be here. But I just, for the life of me, I can't remember what the name is. But I'll find out for you and I'll let you know what it is. Beautiful flowers, bright red flowers, but it's not meant to be here. In other parts of the country, you do get black wattle, which I think comes from Australia, so also not meant to be around here, but it has invaded certain areas, especially plantations and that. But out here, we don't really get any of that, which is good. One of the encroaching species of trees, so not really an invader, not an alien, but we do get encroaching species of trees within this natural environment, and that comes from perhaps overgrazing from animals or areas that have been disturbed, and these trees and plants come in and start overgrowing an area. And one of the most common ones is the sickle bush, and it becomes very, very thick and very, very sharp spines on the tree, so not easy to move through. Animals do feed on it, but it can become an encroaching species, which means it will overgrow an area very, very quickly and make it very difficult to penetrate or for other vegetation to grow around there. Another little mud wallow. Let's just see. Herbert seems to have found something here. What have we got, Herbert? Some hyena track. Okay. So these tracks, and you know what, the soil is still very, very wet here. And what's happened is, I think these hyena actually saw us coming or heard us coming, and they ran away from us. The track is just quite obscure in the mud, but we can see the track, and they jumped out, and the soil is still wet. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually jumped in there, had a drink, saw us or heard us, jumped out and ran off. So they ran off in that direction. And I think James did see a hyena in a puddle earlier, so it just shows you they do go into the water often to cool off and to drink. And speaking of James, let's head back to him and get an update and see what he's up to and what he's found.
Found one Steeling's red warbler, everybody. Byron and I had a wonderful sighting of him, but I'm afraid he flew off before we were able to show him to you. And he was going click, 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 click. He was flying along, clicking his beak together. And it was all rather very interesting, wasn't it, Brian?
It was incredible.
Yes, astounding.
Absolutely.
Astonishing. Incredible. Just incredible. 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 We are driving now towards Buffelshoek Dam as we were earlier. I'm staring at the ground, still hoping for some kind of telltale big cat sign, but I'm afraid nothing yet. So we'll see what's at the dam there. Then I think we might pop down to Chitwa Dam and see what's going on there. Don't know where the Styx Pride's gone. Haven't heard of them for some time. Ooh. And very cross European rollers. There they are. They're almost invisible. You see them there? There they go. Now that's interesting, they're calling, and they don't often call here. And they don't often call here because, if I'm not mistaken, they don't breed here. Let me just quickly check that that is true. It is a lovely, lovely morning of bird calls. Non-breeding migrants. So the fact that they're calling is unusual. It says generally silent in the region with occasional raak call. That's what it's doing now, Brian. It's going raak, raak, raak. It's almost as good as my Cokie Franklin call, Brian.
It might be a bit better.
Right, on we go. They're obviously having some sort of territorial dispute. Now, the reason birds don't call when they come here, and they don't breed, so non-breeding birds don't tend to make an enormous call, because they don't normally set up territories in areas where they're not breeding. And so I think that's why they don't call here, and so I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe they just don't like each other very much. This isn't where I want to be, is it, Brian? This is Hyena Road. No one wants to go down Hyena Road. Hello, Alan. A very good question from you. Every so often you see us drive up and over bumps, and you say, what is their purpose? Their purpose is largely for drainage, Alan. The point is to have the water that flows along the road then moves off into a mitre drain, which in turn stops the huge... I thought I saw a terrapin. In turn stops the erosion from taking the topsoil off the land. So roads are natural rivers, and therefore they're natural sites of erosion, and they're natural sites for the topsoil to be removed. And so that's why we put the drains in. It also means, of course, that we then don't have to keep grading them. So that's why they're there. They serve doubly, of course, as speed bumps. They do stop people speeding too much. It is a very, very bright day today. So bright, Brian. You've got your dark glasses on, don't you? We're having to go off-road here because an elephant has pushed a tree over. We'll just go around the corner here. There's the big termite mound in the way. Right, we're back on the road. Fear not. I have to keep my head face down, otherwise my eyes will be singed out of my head. I think that mist from the early morning has created a very white session here. Now TAYLA is with Hosana, but Hosana is no longer alone. Oh no.
Now, the tail that we're looking at and the hindquarters that we're staring at is not that of Hosana. Young Xongile was sitting, sunning herself on the termite mound just behind where we saw Hosana. But you can see that Xongile has now climbed up a tree because the hyenas that I was telling you about, that David and I were chasing after, came back. They came bounding through the bushes. And there she goes. She's going up higher now. And Hosana sort of slunk away back towards the termite mound where Xongile came from, and Xongile decided that she's not having any of this. She's going to go up the tree. She's a little bit nervous of them, and that's a very clever move on Xongile's part, because like I said, these leopards are young. They can hiss and growl all they like at a hyena. The hyena is going to laugh at them and snatch them up. They're not quite up there where Karula would be able to fend off of a hyena and sort of deter them. But these hyenas must be hanging around. They must have a kill somewhere around here, whether it's in a tree or a little bit of has dropped on the ground, or you never know. You know what Hosana and there we go. There's a hyena at the base of the tree, just walking behind her. Now, we are on the cut line at the moment. There are a lot of vehicles here. We won't be able to stay for too long. We're going to try and stay for as long as we can. But you can see Hosana, I don't know where Hosana is. He's hiding away now, but Xongile is definitely keeping a close eye. David, I'm going to go forward a little bit because I think I might be able to give you a slightly better view. Sorry, David, I want to turn so we can get the aerial out of the way. There we go. Now, it's very, very difficult as she's sitting up in this tree to try and get a good view. Now, I can see movement. It looks like the hyenas might be coming back again. David, where I'm looking is basically, you see, straight through this gap. If you go straight down there, I think they're going to come back this side again. So if you just keep watching that side, that's where the hyenas are coming out. So the kill must be somewhere around there. But it's notorious for hyenas to follow leopards around. I can't see any more movement now, but they were there. They're definitely around there. And well, following a young leopard cub around, or these two young leopard cubs around, I don't think would be a bad idea, especially if Mom had killed something for them and stashed it. Like I said, they get a bit clumsy with the carcasses still, and the chances of these hyenas scoring a meal because Hosana or Xongile dropped the carcass to the ground, or maybe something like the intestines fell out, they would happily gobble up that meal. But typically, you see them following the adults around. And if Karula is here, she would not be very happy with this situation. She probably would have maybe tried to even chase some of the hyenas away, just because she's got her cubs here, of course. Otherwise, leopards don't really mind hyenas too much. I've seen a number of occasions where big male leopards have been seen quite happily on the other end of the carcass, or their kill that they'd made, sharing it with hyenas. Sometimes, if you can't win, well, you just wait and you let the other animal join you. And it always amazes me how two predators like that, two apex predators, can come together and quite happily feed on a carcass with one another. But that's something special to see. It is not a very common sight. You've got to be at the right place at the right time. And I suppose had that hyena pestered that leopard for long enough that it felt the need that it needed to share its kill with everybody else. But this is so cool. I'm so happy we managed to find this. And I'm so happy that Xongile popped out too, because it's been a long time since we've seen the two of them together. And I'm sure Hosana is safe. I wouldn't worry about him. He's a big boy now. He's learning the ropes. And I think he's just ducked behind a termite mound. It's quite difficult for us to see, unfortunately. But basically, he's just sitting just on the other side over there. But like I said, we're on a main road. There's lots of people, not even just coming to view the sighting, lots of people coming up and down. Of course, it can be quite busy. So I don't know if we're going to be able to stay here for too much longer. I think we'll only be able to stay here for a couple more minutes. And hopefully Hosana makes a return and comes back to his favorite termite mound. And I wonder what happened to our tortoise, David. Do you think it turned itself back over? I also hope so. I also hope that the tortoise managed to recover after Hosana decided to throw it around a few times. But this is so cool. She's still watching carefully, so there's obviously something going on in the distance. She's keeping a close eye, and this is the thing about winter, is that something could be happening a couple of feet away from you, but the grass is so long, the trees are so dense at this time of the year that it's almost impossible. I mean, look at what happened with Hosana and the tortoise. We knew he was after something, and it was right in front of us. It was only probably about 4 foot away, but we couldn't see him because he was deciding to play in the long grass. can listen. You can hear the hyena.